stages where they need them. So
Yeah,
it's
wow,
like,
that's awesome.
yeah. So you
So
just need
Hot
like
Diggy, he
one.
did get this is like that's a huge role.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And Rennie Harlan in this commentary for Mindhunters, like he's going to be doing big things one day. And
Oh, that's cool.
this was really early, like 2000s. And now this guy is on what $250 million movies.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that he moved on all this.
The production design, the setting is all incredible. I love just that it's an island full of mannequins, and some of them are like spring-loaded to launch forward and be a threat during the firefight in the dark towards the end. That's just a really cool setting to have this kind of climax, this kind of film.
It also, I think actually might speak to like what I was saying about it doesn't, like this movie doesn't weirdly feel dated, like to look at, if that makes sense. Like, so a lot of it, I thought, I don't want to say like timeless, but like there's more like attention to detail. The direction is they do a little bit of that very popular at the time, sort of like flash cutty. I don't know what you want to call that, but some of that I thought was like, oh, I remember that being very big at that decade. But the production design, the clothing, like the costuming, a lot of those things, yeah, they kind of feel like other movies, but they feel very right for what this movie is, and not like in a way where they were like trying to put something in that was like trendy or like going to appeal to like a certain demographic, or do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I think it can be really easy to do that with like I feel like after 7 came out, you saw like a lot of things that were like attempting to just do that and like rehash it.
Yeah.
And here I feel like it's, maybe in the same like catalog of like the same kind of viewer would seek this out, but they're doing something that feels exactly right for what the movie is. And it feels really unique. Like you do kind of feel like you're on this weird island that someone has completely drenched and made up to look like something else.
Yeah, I think the most dated aspect of the film is when they're in the bar, Maroon 5 is playing on the
yeah, I thought that too. I thought that was funny.
A couple random things. This movie only had a $30 million budget, which is quite low. And I think Rennie Harlan is an absolute pro of stretching budgets. So on this film, he had 5 people with Max on the set, and they did the visual effects. So they didn't hire out a visual effects company. He had 5 people on the set at all times with Mac computers, like doing electricity and the sparks. And they had a score, but they didn't like the score. So he called the guy. He said, give me some stuff in 24 hours. So the guy went, got him some stuff in 24 hours, finished guy. And then he's like, good, that'll work. And then they wrote the score in 2 weeks. And then they did it. So like, I just think Harlan, I love how he just goes out of his way to really stretch these budgets of these movies. And I kind of miss having him around because I don't know, like I like that he went and made this for $30 million, and it looks great. Like I miss these kind of films, like a Limitless, like a $30 million movie that did well. Yeah. I mean, I know they're probably not going to be hitting theaters again, but I miss the days of like a good TNT, like that. Sorry, Jay, like TNT is like a cable channel here that you can play movies on. It's like a good TNT cable movie, and I think that's what this is.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's like a beef, I think, not just, I mean, like, I agree. I think he's probably good at, there's a certain thing to be said about the skill set of, like, somebody artistic that knows when and what to cut, and like you said, when and what to stretch, and, like, what's going to get you to, like, the vision you want, which I think is probably really, I mean, I've never directed anything or done anything even remotely in that vein, but it's probably very difficult to know how to do that, especially when you're working within, like some other production element. But I think in general, that's like it's a beef a lot of people have with like the trajectory of the film industry now is like those mid-budget movies do not get made. I mean, it's very difficult. They either have to be super shoestring or they're huge. And I feel like I don't see any movies that are just like interesting drama pieces or something like this where it's like, there's a lot going on here, but I think if you even attempted to get that movie made now, they wouldn't come close to that budget.
Yeah, here's 10 mil. Like, we'll put it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with 10 mil, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do, but, like, to me, 30 mil seems low for what this movie, like, I was a little bit shocked by that. Yeah, exactly, because you got to pay a whole cast.
They went to Holland. Well, you know what he does? He got Val Kilmer, and he said no one wanted to work with Val Kilmer because he's difficult, but I hired him, and he was great. and the cinematographer had only done a couple music videos, so they got him for real cheap, and apparently he had a difficult personality. And Rennie Harlan's like, I broke him. He was fine. So I think he found, Slater was a big name, but he didn't have too much heat at the moment. Val Kilmer didn't have too much heat. So he found like actors we love, and he probably got them for a relatively decent budget, and then they went to Holland to shoot this thing. And so he just kind of that lake or the ocean that they were on, he said it was just a pond and the rest was green screen. Like I think he figured, I think by now, by the time he made this, he just knows how to get these things done and how to stretch a budget. And that's when I think he works at his best. Like Driven, that movie had a gigantic budget, and I just don't think it was it's not nearly as creative as this movie is. I mean, Christian Slater gets frozen, then explodes. So,
and it looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks amazing. So I think that's just what I like about Harlan. He knows what he wants. He likes doing, and he's like, you've never seen a guy hanging from a metal pole while another guy punches the walls and shoots the walls to climb to turn it on. Like, who knows if they're good ideas, but you always leave a Harlan movie feeling like you've seen something different.
So, I'd much rather see someone attempt to be inventive on something than just to watch like the same. Actually, this brings up a point that I wanted to say towards the end. I know we're kind of like getting there, but did anyone else like find that fight scene very interesting that they had at the end?
Oh, it's badass.
Yeah.
It was so like, it was, I almost thought maybe it was like choreographed and sped up just at like just a tick because of the way it was like, it looked, but I really enjoyed it. I was like my partner was like, I miss fight scenes like this. Like, it's hard to describe, but it just felt very like, I don't know. It's not, I mean, like, I feel like they're making some amazing choreographed action now, but I liked it in the context because it felt like, oh, I didn't know it had this up its sleeve, and for it to be just like a one-on-one fight scene, which would theoretically be a lot more boring than someone being consumed by acid, it was still like really enjoyable to watch.
Absolutely.
Even the whole time, I was like, LL Cool J is going to take everybody out. I mean, how could he not? I don't understand that.
JLM would get stomped.
Yeah, he would get stomped, but that's okay.
In the fight between them, LL Cool J is mostly unarmed, and Johnny is like, gets a knife and a fire extinguisher and anything he can, otherwise he is just toast.
That's a good point.
LL Stuntman gets just bonked by that fire extinguisher big time, too.
Oh, yeah.
Which a couple of times.
And they only had 2 days to film this. And he said normally you have weeks, but for some reason they only had 2 days to shoot this. And what I like about Rennie Harlan, what I love about his action films, like we just talked about Cutthroat Island, you can see you do see their stuntmen bits, but LL and JLM did a lot of their own stunts.
Yeah, I think
during
that
this
shows.
fight. And I think that makes it so much better, right? Because there's no super cuts. They actually go for a wide angle a few times on this, and you get to see LL jump on a table, Johnny Lee fall on a table. I just love seeing their faces in it. And I think I miss that. Like, I know Indonesian movies do that right now. Like The Night Comes for Us, The Raid, like those movies are incredible at doing that.
Right.
But yeah, this one, I think Rennie Harlan said it was his favorite fight scene he's ever filmed. Ever.
Yeah, that shows, yeah. But I really felt when the two of them kind of went over and through that glass window and then landed on the metal staircase, that hurt to watch.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of moments like that, actually. Like, that's another thing is there's a lot of those, like, ooh, I'm feeling it, and also, like, genuinely, like, oh, like, surprising, like, something to scare you, like, maybe a jump scare, but not really. They're genuinely surprising moments throughout, I thought, that really got me.
Yeah. So we need to get to the climax because
the underwater gunfight.
So just to get to that point.
Periscope gunfight.
Yes. So whilst Vince is getting locked in the freezer, everyone having a shootout. LL Cool J shoots Lucas, but he's wearing a bulletproof vest, doesn't matter. So they have a fight towards the end, and then between.
Wait, did LL shoot him because his hands didn't?
Someone shot Lucas because he had bullets in his bulletproof vest, and it wasn't Sarah because we were on Sarah at the time, so it probably was Gabe. So either way, they all survived that. Then between Lucas and Sarah team up and take out Gabe with a fire extinguisher and a staircase and various other things. But then Sarah reveals that she had put phosphorescent powder that had spelled out the letters on the jackets on the clock that she'd turned back 15 minutes, knowing that the killer would feel the compulsion to correct the clock because their so finicky about time. And it turns out, Lucas has got the powder in his hand. So he then gives he starts monologuing, explaining everything, why he did it. He killed his parents. The cop asked him, did he want some gum? Not, why did you do it, or anything else about it. Just, so this is a kind of not the best villain monologue exposition scene I've ever seen. It's just he gives a lot away, and we get flashbacks to every character and how he had been herding everything all the way through. Fine, but this all leads to, as Mark said, the periscope gunfight in the pool, because they fall into the water. They try and shoot each other underwater, but the bullets don't really do a lot underwater. They kind of we see the bullets go sail off and drift down. It's like, yes, good. Water physics when shooting, wonderful. This is fun. Because too many films have people just shooting underwater and it just working fine. So this is maybe the dumbest thing in the whole film that I loved, is the two of them kind of treading water just below the surface, holding their guns up above the surface, waiting for the other one to have to surface and breathe, at which point they will shoot them. Which, despite Lucas having tried to drown Sarah for a good minute before they have an underwater fight, he is still the one that needs to go up and breathe first. And instead of going up to the surface and just protruding through enough to breathe, he sticks his whole head out for 20 minutes or so, and she shoots him in the throat. So, it's incredible.
You know what I would have liked a bit, where, I mean, okay, like LL Cool J has that thing early on when he says that's all profiler stuff, that's profiler nonsense, like that's not who we are, right? Or something, you know what I'm talking about? Like when they're like indicating the little things about everybody, and he says, yeah, those things are true, but they're also not really who people are. I look beyond that. So I thought that was, again, my mind. I was like, okay, that's gonna like come into play or something, right? It would have been nice if like maybe at the end she like revealed in some capacity that she was like, yeah, I'm scared of the water, but like I've been like practicing for this. Do you know what I mean? Like she's scared of, why, like theoretically, why would she even know how to hold her breath that long? We gotta there's a lot of leaps and bounds already, but if we're gonna like believe it, it would have been cool if she was like, if she had bested him with like the one thing he overlooked for her. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Maybe she has been not telling people about it, so then they try to exploit it.
Exactly. Like she's like, it was her deepest fear, so she basically like in secret tried to overcome something, or like I don't know. I'm really reaching, but it would. I
love
fun.
that idea.
Yeah.
I kept that from you. You didn't
exactly.
know. Oh.
Yep.
That's you know what? That's good.
You fixed
that's
it.
Good. Yeah.
I'm an idea man. That's all I am.
I do wish the guns had a periscope view above water, and you could see like the little periscope from the gun.
Oh, it reminded
me of. He looks up.
It just reminded me of the beginning when they had lasers on their gun, and I was like, why?
Oh yeah, they did have lasers. Like you're kind of alerting where you're coming at. Like which way is their gun pointed? Oh, okay.
So Sarah shoots Lucas. They get out of the pool. She's got a gun on him, and he's convincing her that, you could kill me, but your blood's under Bobby's fingernails, and there's a lot of evidence pointing to you. Your bullet's in my throat, and he's like, you should let me live. And then in walks LL Cool J, throws down the watch, time's up, and
you know what your weakness was?
Bullets.
So good.
Yes. It's not even a one-liner. That's a one word.
I know.
There are no notes on that. That's perfect. Gatsby found his weakness. Bullets. Just inspired.
I think it was at that moment I picked up my wife and just ran around the room with her. I was so happy at that line.
Yeah, I let out a pretty audible chuckle.
Yeah, it's great. Apparently Rennie Harlin was one of the mannequins as well.
Yeah, he was in the phone booth.
So cameo as a mannequin. He when he was a cameo on Deep Blue Sea, it took him like 25 takes just to walk. So he figured he wouldn't move in this one, and it would take fewer takes, I assume.
He said he did it for his mom.
Because she loves mannequins?